Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. This is a Watcher of Realms video. In fact, this is the Watcher of Realms video that you want to watch because this is the ultimate beginner's guide. I'm coming up 90 days in-game. Okay, I'm coming up 3 months and I feel like I've done my probation. I'm now ready to make this video and kind of help you guys along, especially those people that are slightly newer players. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go through a whole ton of stuff. This video might run quite long. You might need a glass of water or some tea to help you through it. Fine water. Okay, let's do this. So we're going to kick off then with champions. Yeah, champions, leveling champions, gaining power, gaining strength is really important. Epics are actually super cool in this game. Yeah, you will get for free a Wrath, a Greed, and then over time you will get yourself some really cool other heroes as well. What you really want to do is have quite a balanced squad in this game. You kind of want a nice healer. Someone like Vortex would be great to pick up. A Medan, a Hollow, all very good. You want a good healer. You want a decent tank or early game, at least decent fighters. Yeah, you will get for free Olag once you get into the Void Rift, who's a brilliant, probably one of the best tanks in the whole game. And you do get fighters which are very accessible as well. So Wrath is one of the free ones you get. There's also a Fusion, which will take a bit of time to get to, but Abomination is another good fighter. So good healer, good fighters, a tank, and then you're going to want some different DPS. So range DPS comes in the form of Marksman. Yeah, so you see the sort of Marksman symbol here, which are doing like physical damage, or Mage, which are doing magic damage. Yeah, and again, even in those, you get different types. You get some which do AoE hits, which are hitting a whole group, or you get some which are single target. So just a good kind of like variation of heroes is important. And when you're kind of like building out your team, I guess different from other games, trying to just 6-star and promote up one hero is not what this game's about. It's about gradually building the squad. Okay, if you get everyone kind of like leveling up as a group, then you will beat campaign much easier, I think, than if you just had one kind of like big hitter that was trying to carry you through. So in terms of leveling up and stuff, so takes a little bit of time to unlock this in campaign, but once you do, you can actually do this quick star up. You only ever want to be doing this kind of like quick star up, or I guess generally leveling your heroes when there are events which give you rewards for doing so, unless you're in the first like week or so where you're just trying to like get some sort of group together, because you do get very strong rewards for those events where you are leveling heroes. You get things like legendary crystals, which is how you skill up your heroes. So they're actually super good. So you go and farm. It's a bit different from other games, actually. You go and farm the ability to level up. So you can go to upgrade here and use the different experience pots that you farmed out of a certain level, which I'll talk you through in a second. And that's generally how you get your levels. So you level somebody up to max. You would then look to promote them. So if I find someone here who is 5-star, you do a star up, and then you would have been leveling up additional food units to go in the star up slot, which is what the quick star up does actually. So once you get to this, I think it's maybe when you get into the expert nightmare area, you unlock this. But basically you quick star up, and what it's going to do is turn a whole load of your 1-star food champions into 2-star. And then your 2-star need to eat 2 stars to turn into 3 stars. And as you go, you get, obviously it's harder and harder to do it. It uses more resources, but this is how you kind of like get your food in the mix. If you were not using the quick star up function because you don't have it yet, you would just grab one of your lower level heroes and then you would just be upgrading them in solitude to get them to the point where they are available to be starred up. And then you just you can do quick add, grab 2 other 2 stars and throw them in. Now, unlike other games, there's actually not many low-level heroes that you want to keep an eye on, okay? Pretty much any common or uncommon is straight food. There's no question about that. There's straight food. Anyone who is like a lower-level hero, they just have crap-based stats, okay? And their abilities are way worse. So this is not a game where it's like, let's look for the uncommon that can do a cool thing. They don't really, okay? There's a few rares that are decent. This is one, Decimus. Yeah, this one you definitely will want to keep a hold of. You don't need to level him up super high because he does his job as a lower level dude anyway. There's one that looks like this, but she's not called Spring. She's called Autumn. I think mine's actually already a bit leveled up. This one here, she gives your team crit bonus. She's quite an end game rare. You've got Navi. Navi here is actually very cool. She gives you cost. So the further you get into the game, the more you need cost. Cost is what you use to lay down your troops. Yeah, so she actually just naturally, when she ults, she gives you a bunch of cost, which she basically gives you more value than she costs herself. So she's worth keeping hold of. Yeah, one other rare. I don't have one on my account anymore, so I don't need him anymore. But Kook is a good one as well. He basically applies a poison ability, which is great for any single target damage. If you want to beat up the guild boss early on, Kook's a good one to apply that poison and just get some damage rolling. So not too many rares to look out for. And the cool thing in this game is when you summon rares that you don't want, you can literally just go into this like pound sign with the face in the kind of like middle of your hero screen, and you can just dismiss 3-star heroes. And you're like, why would I want to do that? Because you get diamonds for doing that. And diamonds early game equals more summons. So you definitely should be encouraging yourself to summon a lot early game. Try and hold it for weekends because you get summon events at the same time. But summoning is not bad in this game, in the early game. In fact, I used pretty much every diamond that I got for summoning in the early game. So what you can do here, it will put all of the heroes in. You can lock heroes before you do this so it doesn't grab them. Things to look out for on here. If anyone's got this kind of like big crown motif, then they're a lord. And lords you don't want to be getting rid of just for nothing. So you see another one here, lord bonus. You don't want to get rid of them. And obviously any of the heroes that you want to keep, then you can just click those away as well. Mine are already leveled, the ones I actually want, so I'm not really too fussed here. But other than that, you can just dismiss, grab yourself some extra diamonds. Crap rares equal diamonds in this game. Okay, let's stay on this page for a minute before we go and talk about some of the summoning stuff. Your heroes gain a lot of strength from promotion. Okay, promotion, as you level up, you unlock different elements of skills. You get more stats along the way. You get better range on your abilities. Promotion is like a must do. Every time you star someone up to the next level, next thing you should do is go and get their promotion stuff done. And it's easy to do. It's just stamina. It's easy to do. And yeah, it's super solid. So you would literally just go into a promotion raid. And again, this is why you want a good squad of the similar level people, because then you can take on like the next levels of promotion raids. But you want to be in here farming up some of the insignias you need to get to the next step. And that will actually give you a lot of base strength. So leveling up promotion, in terms of gear, early game, don't worry too much about gearing. Don't go farming gear raids. Don't like pump a load of energy and stamina into trying to push gear raids, because you don't really want to be in here until you can do probably stage 13 and start to get some red gear. You might be in here a little bit before that, but honestly, I didn't really focus on gear raids until I could beat stage 13. And that's when you start to get mythical gear, and that's stuff that you actually want to level up. Before that, you actually get most of your gear, believe it or not, from the shop, the Dwarven Association. He sells gear. You can literally, and this shop upgrades as you upgrade. Okay, so the further you get in campaign, the more often you'll find stuff that you need in this shop. You see here, I've got a piece of gear. I can literally just go and buy it, see if I like it or not. That's actually not a bad one, to be fair. See if you like it or not, and then you keep it or you don't. But early game, just buy yourself. It will be blue gear and purple gear, rare and epic. If you can try and get yourself some epic gear on some of your early game heroes, just buy it from the shop, level it up to like level 4 or 8. Super cheap to do it, and that will give you a bit more strength anyway. You don't even really worry too hard on the stats at that point. You definitely want to put some gear on people that you're using, because it will give you just kind of like a bit more about you. What you end up doing for 99% of heroes, anyone who does damage basically want attack. Attack in this game is a little bit weird. It's like a check to see if I'm good enough to hit them or not. Okay, so if you're attacking an enemy and you're doing what looks like minuscule hits, you probably don't have enough attack to overcome their defense. So actually, very early game, all of the three slots over on the right hand side here you're looking for either attack percent or just flat attack as the main stats. Yeah, that's the main thing you're looking for. Crit rate is a luxury. Crit damage is a suit. Like even now, for me, 3 months in, crit damage is a real luxury on my builds. Look at this. Even 3 months in, it's a real luxury in my builds to have crit damage. I am all about still building out, this is actually a crap piece, building out attack percent and trying to get myself, yeah, just a few extra stats. On every damage dealer, unless they've got something quirky about them, they all scale from attack. Okay, so you're basically looking to build your attack up as high as you can, maybe get a bit of attack speed and a bit of crit if you can find it. But even then, it's like you almost like absolute focus on getting more attack into your builds, and you will find that your damage just like skyrockets up a ton. Okay, so any of your damage dealers, you're looking for that. That includes fighters, marksmen, mages, the lot. They all basically scale the same way, which I think is a bit of a letdown of the game, but there you go. As you get a bit further on, you can then start to think about what their skills are and how you might build them differently. So for example, my Wrath, I actually build more attack speed because when I've got mine to the awakening that I've got, he actually heals per hit. I don't want him to hit fast. So you will change your build up a bit. But early on, Wrath had all attack percent pieces. Or if you don't have enough attack percent pieces, which you probably won't early on, flat attack early on is fine because it's scaling off of your base. And your base stats will be lower depending on your star rating. So it's absolutely fine to just use flat attack early on. So you definitely want to get their rating up to as many stars as you can. Promote those stars up, get the extra stats, get some gear on, which makes some sense. If you are gearing up a tank, mainly want to push HP and some defense. Okay, you don't really worry about much else. Rage regen could be nice if they've got a half decent ult, but there's not that many tanks in the game that you would build early game. Normally you'd use fighters and you go a bit into sort of tanks as you get a bit further on into the game. But yeah, mainly HP, some defense. If you're building healers, healers do scale from different things. So if you see here my Medan, she's got HP based healing. So the higher health I give her, the better her healing will be. Versus let's try grab Hollow. Hollow has got attack based healing. So actually I need to boost her attack up to get her to do heals. That means that she's way squishier than an HP based healer. So depending on your team comp, you kind of do what you need to do. There's also things that you can look at in terms of placing them, because we're on a kind of board type system here. You can look at the range of the different units, like this healer heals behind herself and she's got a kind of decent range. If I look at the same thing for Vortex, he's got a massive range. Yeah, so depending on how many people you're trying to cover, if I just had one healer, then I would build Vortex out. If I'm utilizing two healers, then maybe Medan becomes like my secondary healer. So depends what you're doing for who you decide to build. But looking at their range is actually really useful for that. So we talked tanks, we talked damage dealers, we talked healers. I mean, that's pretty much it, really. You might start to build a bit more crit into someone like a marksman, just because they scale from it better. Mages really scale from attack very well. But each of the different skills, obviously you need to read through skills and understand what they're going to do. So let's talk about skills then. You will find you basically get infinite blue dust because we don't really build out rares. So anyone that you're likely to use even a little bit, you can max out their skills pretty fast. Epics, I'd be a little bit more, just a bit more thoughtful, really. So you get plenty of the dust over time, not early on, over time. So early on, you want to be quite selective over who you skill up. And then I've done like top epics and stuff like that type of video. As I say, you want to make sure you've got a good range of different types of heroes before you start focusing on mage. Otherwise, you'll be feeling pretty sad about it. The crystals are much harder to find. So I could literally skill up this hero for my faction wars. I could just be like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to use plenty until it gets to the point where it's going to need a crystal. And then at that point, I'm a bit more thoughtful around do I really want to get more skill points in? It's going to go randomly. What I tend to do on my legendaries is if I max out an ult, I tend to stop using anything. Yeah, because ults are generally what it's all about. Not with everyone, but with most of them it is. So if I max out an ult, I tend to stop using any skill crystals at all, and I move on to another one. But obviously you can make your own choice on that. Awakening is super cool in this game, actually. So this is a dupe system for any... You can never put two heroes down on the board which are the same. So any awakening that you get, you may as well use it. Okay, you know, if you've got an epic here, my one currently is awakening level 3. If I've got another dupe, I may as well use it if it's the same hero. The only exceptions to this are for the fusion heroes that you need to fuse Abomination. And Abomination's a legendary fusion that you can do. And yeah, there's 4 heroes. You will find, I'll actually just fuse mine. You'll find the info under hero fusion for the ones that you need to pump into Abomination. Yeah, so you can just see an image here, but it will tell you if you tried to like feed a copy, it would say that you've got a fusion available. So you've got Komodo here who can actually fuse anyway as a separate fusion using rares. Just kind of keep that one in mind. Vortex, and then yeah, a couple of others. Vortex is the only one here. Well, no, actually, Vortex and Komodo are both decent to use outside of doing it as a fusion. So I guess that's a watch out. You might build those up to level like 5-star anyway, use them, and then decide when you want to do your Abomination fusion as you kind of get the various resources for it. So Awakening, you should always do, like level up your dudes. You will find that for everyone that gets the Awakenings, they get either reduction of cost, they get additional stats, they get additional ways that their abilities work. There's certain heroes where you get massive value. Yeah, so well worth, if you've got Raph, you will get Raph because he's a logging champion, but it's well worth using the additional tokens that you get. You'll see I've got a couple sitting around right now. These, you get these, and I'll show you how soon, but you get these through playing the game. And what these are, it's almost like the equivalent of having another copy of that hero. So I would definitely utilize my tokens on Raph. You do get a couple of free ones, but honestly, once you get Raph to Awakening 5, he heals himself with his damage, and at that point, he's an absolute machine. Like, he's in endgame teams because of that. Other ones which are really good, Idril here just gets like insane ult perfection with hers. If you picked up a Dolores, then just Awakening to level 1 is a super great upgrade. So you just need to kind of check champion guides, check hero guides before you decide what to do. But Awakening, I wouldn't hold back. It's well worth doing. And then the last thing on heroes in terms of strength, it's artifacts. Artifacts are a little bit higher level gameplay, I guess. Not higher level, but you won't have artifacts for everyone straight away. And you need to kind of beat up a game mode to be able to use them. But basically what an artifact does, it does give you a lot of extra stats again. So base stats, it improves, as well as giving you some kind of like talent, ability, that type of thing. So don't sleep on having artifacts on your heroes. And something, I mean, this is probably pushing a little bit past the super early game, but something which I never did, which I regret now, is I didn't upgrade my artifacts. Yeah, so you can promote, you need another copy of the same one to promote beyond a level. But if you're just trying to, let's try and find somewhere where I haven't done it. If you're just trying to upgrade it, like this one's currently level 1, I can enhance it with this dust that you pick up, and you actually gain more stats. And at level 10, 13, 16, so on, when you do the promotion, you gain enhancements to the actual ability as well. So you know, every time you're upgrading it, you're gaining more stats for your heroes. More stats means you're going to beat content a lot easier. So that's kind of like the champion page. There's a lot packed into that, but it's a really important page because that's how you improve your account. Gearing, stats, and growth. You want to spend a lot of your time in campaign just burning through. And I actually found campaign super fun. Like just going through 3-star, and you get loads of rewards, you get diamonds, you get summons, and you start to unlock different game modes. You want to kind of hard push, really, I'd say, in the normal campaign until stage 7, where you unlock this experience dungeon here. experience stage 7 is a great place to farm some experience up for, like, you don't really want to be farming experience dungeons before you get here. Okay. And experience stage 8 is probably about as good as most people will do in the earlier game. And this is where you farm the ability to upgrade your heroes. Yeah. You never ever want to do this unless this is lit up. And you only really get 24 hours worth of experience, no matter what I've done in this game. There's not like I'll do it for 3 days or whatever. It's always 24-hour stints. So what you want to do is decide when you're going to do this experience hits, pump a ton of stamina into it, and just let that be your day's stamina. Okay. Where do you get this from? There's actually a bunch of places. As you're doing your faction trials, the Pantheon, you can unlock these different experiences. This will give you experience for a day. Yeah, so you unlock this through doing different levels. You want to save, don't use it until you need it. You want to save it until then. That's one place. There's also within the shops the ability to buy it in the arena shop. So this is super cheap, 35. As long as you're doing your arena on a daily basis, you just buy this whenever you want to do that day's worth of experience grind. Yeah. I guess this talk shop while we're in here, actually. So I buy the arena stamina pot every day. Yeah. Use this when you need it. I buy the summons whenever they're available as well, if I've got plenty of the stuff, because I like summoning. And then choose, like, once you get higher in the arena, I would always buy the crystals for legendaries because they're just super rare to get. And then you might buy the bigger summons as well if you're very active in the arena. In the guild shop, you can buy summons again here. You can also buy things like the legendary skilled crystals. That's probably the two things that I would buy most. It's probably not worth buying these shards. I originally did, but you need so many of them and they're so expensive that for Guild Wars, these are, I don't think it's probably really worth your time. So up to you on that stuff, but I would say it's not that great. Something which is great is the gold bonus. Very similar to what we've just spoken there about experience farm. Once you unlock hard campaign, you can then get yourself at least to stage 7 again, and you want to farm up gold in here. You never farm up gold until this is lit up. Yeah, because this gives you double. Never do it. And it's exactly the same as the experience thing. Decide on your day, you're going to do a gold farm day, and then you light it up by going to your shop. Where was it? It was in the guild shop, and buy yourself one of these tokens and then farm gold all day. Yeah. Gold is used to upgrade your gear. And early on, going from level 0 to 8 doesn't cost very much gold at all. But if you're going from, just find a attack percent piece here. So I'm filtering attack percent, and then I'm saying, give me some attack speed and some crit below that. So we've got a piece that might be good, should be good. And what we're doing here is we're just going to enhance it. So look at my gold cost here. I can enhance auto to stage 4. It's going to cost me next to nothing. So I can see, it cost me 2,500. I can see if this piece is worth taking any further already, if I'm going for a level 16 piece. If this was a blue piece, then, or an epic piece, a purple piece, just level it to level 8. It's super cheap, yeah? Super cheap to take it up to 8. Put it on someone in the early game. Great, it's fine. But when I'm a bit further on and I'm wary of gold, I'm then looking to say, well, are these rolling well, yes or no? You kind of want to see it just tipping into purple for really good pieces, but that's quite rare to find, honestly. So we then take it to 12. I'm probably going to keep this piece either way, honestly, but I just would have loved to have seen, instead of it going backwards like this, I would love to have seen, like, up here. That would be a really good piece. There's also a bit of a watch out. This is an attack bonus. If crit rate's the most important stat to me, then potentially you don't even roll this piece because you're not unlocking crit rate until right at the end. So there's a chance that it's going to be crap and then you just get rid of the piece. You've wasted all of that gold. Find out if level 16 roll was good or not. It's a dangerous game. It's a dangerous game to do it. So what I tend to do, if crit rate's really important to me on a piece, I look for a crit rate to be in stage 4 or stage 8 before I start rolling, or I'll just sell it. I don't want to risk it. as it is, it's rolled pretty decent across the board. It's like a half decent piece, this one, that I would definitely use on some sort of champion, especially as it's in a set that makes some sense as well. That's the other thing you want to be looking for in gear is, like, does the crit rate roll or the attack percent with crit rate make sense for the set that you're going to build it in? That's when you get a bit further on. Honestly, early game, because you need attack percent so much, I pretty much kept any set worth of attack percent gear, whether it was like a healer set or whatever. I didn't care. I just literally kept it because I knew that I needed so much. But yeah, you never want to roll for gold until this is lit up, till you've got the bonus for it, and then you're fine to go. As I say, you just want to kind of like burn your way through campaign as quick as you can, get tons of rewards in here, and it's not until you really start to progress some heroes that you then delve out of campaign and you start to think about pushing gear raids. But you don't want to stay in gear raids until you can farm stage 13 and above. Okay, let's talk the Tide. The Tide is one of the best forms of resources for dust, for your skills of your heroes. So every time you do a stage, you'll get the rewards for the day, which tends to be dust, diamonds, and you get crystals sometimes. It's actually a really good source of resources, and it doesn't start getting hard until like stage 90. Yeah, you should be doing it every day, 3 hits a day until 90. I will say it's a battle power check. If your battle power is lower than the suggested, you're almost definitely going to lose. Yeah, so if you're struggling with it, it's because you probably need to just upgrade some of those other hero skills, stats that I spoke about earlier, and then that will help you get your battle power up and give you more stats. The Tide talents are only relevant to the Tide. These don't affect any other part of the game at all. These will give you battle power within the Tide. They'll give you strength within the Tide. Yeah, generally what you do is you find you get more stats, more damage. Yeah, and you just want to be like, you can't do much else other than follow it down. It's not like there's massive choices to be made, but sometimes if, for example, you get a bit further down, like where I am, and you know that you've got strong marksmen but not very strong healers, you might decide to boost the boost the marksman damage before you start boosting healer strength. Yeah, and that will improve your battle power quicker, which lets you get onto the next stage quicker. So the Tide is definitely somewhere you come every day. You get tons of dust, tons of resources, and you just beat it up every day 3 times. Kind of similar, I guess, with Guild Boss. You want to be pushing Guild Boss as quickly as you can. I think this is the #1 area to push. I did a whole video based on Guild Boss, so I'm not going to go into tons of detail here. It's like a 3-minute fight. No, so it's a 5-minute fight where you kind of like lay your team out on a grid. I'll link the video I did with my buckets, talking Guild Boss in particular, talking tactics, talking heroes. But yeah, you just want to be pushing through as far as you can. The higher you get, the better chance of rewards you get, and the more blood you do, the better you're going to get in terms of chest drop on that reward. You get 2 keys for free a day, okay? And I would suggest that you basically, if you beat up one, you should go and do another one, a different one, and your guild, if they beat the whole boss up, you get double chest in that area. The Guild Boss gets you a lot of rewards every day. It's really worthwhile focusing some time and effort on teams. But honestly, whether you're taking up in your squads to like 50 or 5-star, 6-star, they're going to be your Guild Boss heroes initially, with the exception of someone like Kook that I spoke about earlier, who, with his poison, even if he was like 4-star and in crap gear, just with some attack speed going on, Kook will give you some damage. Yeah, so he's going to, because of his poison, he will give you some damage. So if you're struggling for a bit of damage, just throw a Kook in and he's going to help you out. Outside of those, let me just check if there's anything else in here. Faction Trial, just push every day. I actually was a bit slow at starting to do this, and I've kind of picked it up now, but you want to push every day and get these insignias as soon as this opens. I can't remember the level this opens up, but as soon as it opens, you want to be doing it, because then you start to fill out this kind of like stats which do affect everywhere in the game. Yeah, so everybody gets all of these extra stats now for me, because I've pushed some different levels of the Pantheon. So definitely worth, even if you can't beat the next level up, just do the auto farm, 3 hits in a day for every area that you're doing. Even if it's the lowest stage, you'll get yourself some more of these medals, and then the medals will help you build out that kind of like stat boost for everywhere. Okay, so I think I've spoken about all of these in terms of like importance. Let's just go through it quickly. Early game, important to do your promotions. Resources, only when you've got your stuff up. Guild boss every day. Gear raids, not until you can start to push past 13. Artifacts, probably again, similar sort of time to when you're pushing gear raids. Or you might get some of the early level artifacts just to get yourself something going in terms of stats. They're not super important early game, but they get more important as you level. Faction trial every day as soon as it opens. Tide every day. So you've got a bunch of stuff to be getting on with. Let's talk shop. Dwarven Association. I love this feature in this game. I always buy 20% off green dudes. Sometimes if I'm doing a lot of experience leveling, I buy all the green dudes. Okay. If you're early game, you're looking at epic pieces in here, and you're trying to buy some gear from here before you start actually farming gear. You might even buy some legendary pieces if you're not yet farming gear raid 13, just to give yourself some gear. I often buy anything for gold, like the insignias, and I use all of the gold refreshes every single day. All of them. The shop is brilliant. It gives you tons of stuff. Obviously, keep an eye on your gold, but it's actually a brilliant feature. There's loads in here that you would buy. I don't use gems normally. I'm just doing it for this video. But it saves me farming a whole load of promotion raids because I'm buying up insignias. And I'm kind of like keeping my eye out for things like stamina pots with a percentage off on them. I'm keeping my eye on summons with percentage off on them. Just base stamina with percentage off. Yeah, I'm basically looking out for cool drops. Do one more, see if I can find anything cool. No. So if you're doing a real hard push on experience grinding, then you might even buy all of the common dudes as well. Okay. So this shop is actually very good. Let's talk summons. Summons are really fun in this game. You want to make sure that you're summoning, especially some of the rarer summons, when there's events going on. So you see here, there's different banners that you can click on, and it shows you what type of summons you will use for that banner. Every weekend, there's different events on. I'll normally do a video saying whether I think it's a worthwhile event or not, or whether they're good heroes, but every single weekend there's events on. So early game, summon your heart away. You will get yourself a guaranteed legendary, I think after 70 summons. Pretty sure it's 70. But they do events like get one legendary, get one free. They do events like we've got on right now where there's just enhanced chance to summon. Or is there right now? Maybe there's not even right now. Actually, no, there's not. It's just a normal summoning thing. They'll do events where there's particular heroes that have got enhanced chance to summon. So there's always events running. You can look to see what the next one is going to be in the events tab on the right there. You can just look. They're always over the weekends. Yeah, so you can say, okay, this Friday, what's coming up? Drop rate of legendary heroes increases to 2 times its normal rate. So this weekend, when I'm recording this, I know that I've got an event coming up where I've got a double chance to get legendaries from summons. So it makes no sense to summon during the week because I know that at the weekend, there are going to be better chances to summon. I guess whilst I'm in the events tab quickly, it's worth just keeping an eye on cool stuff that's going on in events. Don't feel compelled to do all of the events in full. Corridor of Glory, this one I spoke about around leveling heroes, starring them up, promoting them. You always want to try and cap this out because of this beautiful legendary crystal. You actually get 2 if you cap it out, as well as some summons. These are always good. But yeah, just keep an eye on the events tab, what's going on. You've kind of got events and then you've got trials. Trials are basically events as well. And you choose whether you want to get involved in them or not. And again, you get rewards for being in the top places and you get a base reward that everyone gets down here. Just look at the rewards and be like, does it make sense for me to put any effort into that today or not? Or do I just keep going with my campaign? Generally, the answer is keep going with your campaign unless it's something like, you know, the summoning one. So when we're summoning, we've got a number of base summons here, which you'll just get tons, by the way, for free. If you're free to play, you'll get tons. If you're a spender, then do what you want to do. But as a free to play, you will get a lot. I summoned about a week ago. Since then, I've got 44 more summons. Yeah, just playing the game. Obviously, I'm playing it at now 3 months in, so I get easier chances to get them and stuff, but still, 44. Gems become summons once you've run out of summons. And I would say use your gems all day long in the first like month. Every time there's a good summoning event on, I literally blew my gems. Yeah, because you top them up pretty quick. Yeah, there's loads of ways to get gems in the game. They're pretty generous with them. So until you've got a decent fleshed out roster, I would definitely be using my gems for summons. Divine summoning is just like a higher chance to get legendaries and epics. I'd normally wait for a good 10 times event, good heroes, or like double rates to get legendaries and stuff like that. So these are decent. You won't find you get tons of legendaries here, but I guess it's just pot luck, right? So, and then the ancient ones, these summoning events don't happen very often. Ancients give you a better chances to get a lord. Not as high as you might think. Like I've never had a legendary lord from this in 3 months, but I've seen other people that kind of get them back to back and stuff. So you know, it is what it is. But lords are very powerful in this game, and I guess that kind of brings us on to showing team structure, team comp. Shall I do it here? Maybe I'll do it in gear raid so you can kind of get a feel for what I mean. So when you're building out your team, I guess gear raid 1 generally is like a mages win, AoE mages or AoE damage. Gear raid 2, you kind of want tanks and healers with a little bit of damage. Gear raid 3, you kind of want marksmen with perhaps a bit of healing. Tanks are irrelevant here. Doesn't mean you can't use mages as you're kind of working your way through. If you've got some built out, I did. It's fine. But eventually it's going to be focused on marksmen. So it gives you an idea of the type of heroes you want in here. Every level, by the way, as well, gives you kind of like highly recommended heroes as you go into this, which is quite cool. Also shows you some of the kind of like teams that have beaten it already. So you can get a feel for, okay, do I have any of these heroes or not? You get map info, which gives you kind of breakdown of all of the different mobs that you're going to be fighting. And you can see what their resistances are like. So these have got a high magic resist and a low defense, which is why marksmen are good here. Yeah, versus if it was low magic resist, then you might be like, okay, mages are better. Yeah, so you can look at, and this is on any content in the game, you can look at map info and find out what you're fighting. It's pretty cool. And then it's got like popular heroes, which I guess this is like, I don't know what this fire rating is actually. I don't know where that comes from, but I guess it's how often they're used or how often they've been used in fights. Not sure, but you'll be able to see some good heroes in the mix here, which will just help you out. So when we're going into the fight situation, you see here, I've got this Lord bonus active. Yeah, this is why I'm saying don't get rid of rare Lords, because you might use one. You might look at this one and be like, I really want the Lord that's going to help Vortex. So I can look at his insignia here and be like, right, find me Vortex. And then I can look and be like, all right, do I have a Lord that helps? Okay, I've actually got the Legendary Lord. But I've also got the Rare Lord. So the Rare Lord will give me the bonus of increased faction, only faction allies attributes, but 15%, that's a lot. Yeah, so if you've got a spare slot, you might as well throw a Lord in there. And it also gives my faction allies a shield now and then. Yeah, so, and basically the higher up level of Lord you get between rare, epic, and legendary, the better that becomes. So with the legendary version of the same Lord, King Haas here, he's actually giving my team the shields. He's also given my team 20% shielded faction. Sorry, the defense of shielded people get 20% higher. So he's giving them an extra boost for being a legendary version of that same Lord. So what you want to be looking at is, what heroes am I bringing in the mix? And do I have someone that's going to help in terms of a Lord that's going to give me more stats and give me perhaps another bonus? Quite often, there are fusions. Like once a month, there's a fusion for an epic. We've got the first ever legendary coming this week. And, you know, they've had Pyro here, who's a Lord. They've had a couple of other Lords that are epics in the past as well. So it's worth keeping an eye out for those fusions to see if they're Lords that you're going to be able to pick up. Someone that we all get, though, Not good for this raid, but good for others. Let's change this. Is this epic Wrath. Yeah, and Wrath is a Nightmare Lord. Got quite a cool like faction bonus here. So every time an ally from that faction is deployed, all of the faction allies gain attack speed. Yeah, up to 35%. So if you drop 4, you'll get 35 attack speed for that whole faction. They take less healing as a result, but it's super powerful. And the fun thing is with this, you don't even need to play them for the whole battle. You could put them down, recall them. It's already recorded that they've been down. As long as you've played 4, even if they're not on the board anymore, whoever's left on the board will get the 35% attack speed. So there's some Lord bonuses you kind of need to get an eye out for what they are. They will massively improve your strength, your power, and it's well worth using them and kind of like keeping an eye on the squads that you're trying to put together and what you're doing. Otherwise, you're allowed to fill out as many slots that are open. Yeah, so I didn't realize this when I first started playing. If there's 2 grids here, you can take 10 heroes. You don't need to play them all. Just play the ones that you want to play, but it just gives you more options. So you'll see in this particular fight, I'm bringing a lot of marksmen because that's the type of battle it is. But let's go into a quick campaign. Perhaps a level I've not done yet, actually. Higher level campaigns, the less heroes you're allowed to kind of like use to clear it. So maybe if we flip to normal onto a higher level. And then basically what I'm doing here is I'm bringing a bit of a mix of heroes. So I don't know. I've not beat this before. I'll probably walk it over now because I'm so much stronger than when I should just clear these out. Like I can do all of them. I just haven't done them yet, which is my bad. But what I'm looking at here is, right, I want a tank. We had to tank up some of the damage. So I've got my Olag in there. I want a healer, at least 1, maybe 2, to soak up the damage he's going to take. I might bring a fighter to do some damage behind him. And then depending on the heroes that we're fighting, so we've got these golems that have got super low magic resistance, but they've got really high defense. Definitely need mages to kill them. And then these other dudes have got super low defense, but good magic resistance. I need the reverse. So I'm going to need a kind of mixture of marksmen and mages to get this work done on this fight. So what I might actually do is bring a longer range dude here. 2 tanks is probably overkill, honestly. We don't need him. Maybe this dude in. 2nd Lord bonus, so we activate another Lord bonus. And you can just keep your eyes open and be like, oh, hold on a minute. You should be down there with that Lord and get the bonus. Yeah, so just sometimes it does it automatically and helps you. Sometimes it does not. If you're doing something for the first time, it's not a bad idea as well to play on 1 speed early on whilst you're kind of setting yourself up. So this is a dude that needs a lot of magic damage. I know that he runs fast as well once he gets targeted. So what I tend to do is I tend to set up my defensive unit first. Don't have to do this if you're kind of beating something up easy, but I set my defensive unit up first. That's going to block the damage coming in. And then I'm going to need to be able to deal with... See, this is a good example, actually. I now need to be able to deal with the next thing that's coming at me. Now, I'm going to go mage here because I'm probably going to put another tank up the top. I've got artifacts where when they're close to each other, I get a kind of like boost. This one up here, going to need to be taken out with a marksman because this is the one that had high magic resist. Now start to speed it up. So we've got a flying dude here as well, which needs to be taken out by marksman. You can kind of make choices here now. I could bring in another marksman to make sure that we get that done. With stuff like healers, oh, my tank's been killed. There. Okay, cool thing about this game, if you fail like this, because I wasn't even watching down here, then if you restart, it doesn't cost you any stamina. You can quit battle, doesn't cost you any stamina, and you can just go again. So the mistake I made there was I wasn't watching my tank, and it just got absolutely obliterated. So let's put big boy tank down. So if you want to mix it up, I now know that more damage is coming up the top here first, so I can actually get her down before I get my mage down. Go that way. Then I can throw my healer on. Now, your healer does not need to always be near your units. It can literally just be facing the other way, covering as many of the squares that you're going to need as possible. That's what you want. Coverage, not close. It doesn't have to be close at all. Just covering the area that you want to cover. So let's get now my mage out to actually start doing damage to this guy. She's got an ult which just goes everywhere. For some reason she's not attacking the thing that she's actually good at killing. Now she is finally just about in time. And so placement starts to become important. I guess that's the main thing I wanted to mention here is like placement is important to get the job done. Yeah, and the higher level you are, really the more challenging it gets. But this dude up the top here is looking like he might die soon. If it feels like he's going to die, I can actually just pull him off the board, get my cost back from him, and you see my cost down the bottom right here, 35. I'd rather get that cost back so I can use that to play someone else. So I'd rather pick him up and get that back than just kind of just let him die. I use a ult, take that down. But yeah, placement's important, and just that's why sometimes times 1 speed is good, because you can just make decisions more effectively, actually. Now, there's a lot going on in these maps, especially when you get a bit further on, and you might just want to just decide, yeah, okay, I'm just going to chill and do things at kind of like an easier pace. And as you can see, we then need to start to need some AoE, because we've got a whole bunch of group guys. So my AoE mage comes in and does a big old nuke. And yeah, it's going to be the next level done and dusted. Obviously, you need to read the kind of vibe about how do you 3-star. So the only thing I needed to do here was make sure that no one got into my kind of like my blue Nexus thing. But on some of them, you're not allowed to let someone die, or like there's a whole bunch of different kind of rules around what you should do. But you do get a lot of extra stuff through clearing campaign levels. I just need to get mine done, honestly, as well as like summons and that as well. So I just need to get mine finished up. Okay, so the last thing to talk about is the arena. The arena changes actually every few days. So you get a different type of challenge. Early on, you just use whatever heroes you've got, but you do want to start to form teams that deal with whatever the challenge is. So the current one is anti-air for me. You get a good gauge, honestly, of certainly early on, is a team good or not based on their power. Yeah, so very early on, you just want to be looking at powers which are around yours or a bit less than yours, and kind of like taking on that fight. And it will save the last team that you kind of use to beat this type of level. So, I mean, it could have been a week or 2 weeks since I've done this, because it rotates through the different ones. But once you've got something saved, you can hit the auto fight and the arena battles will flow in. It's worth doing arena like every day. Yeah, each fight's a couple of minutes, so I appreciate not everyone has got time to do all of their battles all the time. Again, you just earn that resource that you're able to use in the arena shop, and the arena shop is good. Once you've got yourself a team that flows quite nicely, and you feel like you're in a good spot with it, then obviously you can just utilize that. Sometimes you get stuff like this going on, by the way, where you set something up in your auto fight, you thought it was good, and when you then, in your manual fight, it worked fine. When you went on to auto, the mobs did something slightly different, and your auto fight just didn't work. You can stop and kind of like cut in and just be like, okay, I'm taking over because the game's lost its marbles. But yeah, it just is the way it is sometimes. Also, you can set your team up to do different things. Like his team here is kind of like now set up to be quite quick at killing the next group of mobs. My team is set up to kill mobs fast when they're grouped. So we've actually both got strong teams, and Depending on what you're up against, eventually you'll kind of learn what you're up against and kind of make decisions appropriately. But you know, it depends what you're up against. He's much faster at killing these single dudes than I am. So he's going to always beat me on these rounds when these dudes are out. And I should beat him on rounds when there's a lot of mobs out. Sometimes it's, yeah, on the auto fights, it comes a little bit out of your control like this. And yeah, I could beat him if I actually just take over. So it depends how hard you want to play it, honestly. For me, I enjoy it, but I'm not to the point where I'm like, I need to do every fight to my utmost. Honestly, that's where I'm at with the arena stuff. Sometimes, like, if there's a higher power, doesn't necessarily mean they're a better team than you just fought. Just kind of like get your area and just kind of like go for it. Hopefully we'll see a cleaner start for me here, because my team's actually built around doing tons of damage to them in the very early. Actually, looks like he's got quite an early one as well, with this kind of like ult ability here. It's happened again. So at this point, I knew that it didn't work last time, so I could stop and cut in. I've actually already deployed my next hero. I could stop and cut in, and then it's like, right, now I'm back in control. I'm not just going to let it do whatever it wants to do because it's doing it in a dumb way. And actually, it looks like because it's done it in a dumb way twice in a row, I actually need to reset my standard abilities. Anyway, I think that's enough for the beginner's guide. Hopefully you learned a ton. Let me know if there's anything really important that I didn't come out with that you feel like other players should learn. I've been Hell Hades. Don't forget to sub to the channel. I'll see you soon.